Imagine being a teenager who spends more time staring at glowing computer screens than hanging out with friends. Now imagine that same teenager growing up to become one of the richest and most influential people in history. A man whose ideas changed how the entire world works, communicates, and learns. This is the story of Bill Gates, the quiet, intelligent boy who turned a small dream into one of the biggest technology empires ever created. But his journey was not easy. It was filled with risks, sleepless nights, competition, failures, and an obsession with computers that most people simply could not understand. Tonight, we explore the fascinating success story of Bill Gates. So sit back, relax, and let's travel into the incredible rise of a young programmer who changed the modern world forever. Bill Gates was born on October 28, 1955, in Seattle, Washington. His full name was William Henry Gates III. He grew up in a comfortable and educated family. His father was a successful lawyer, while his mother worked with important organizations and charities. From a very young age, Bill was different from most children. He loved learning. He could spend hours reading books, especially encyclopedias and science magazines. While other children played outside, Bill enjoyed solving puzzles and thinking deeply about problems. Teachers quickly noticed that he was extremely intelligent. But nobody knew that one invention would completely change his life forever: the computer. During the late 1960s, computers were very rare. They were giant machines used mainly by universities and large companies. Most people had never even seen one. But when Bill entered Lakeside School, something special happened. The school purchased access to a computer terminal for students. The moment Bill saw the machine, he became completely fascinated. He wanted to understand everything about it. How it worked. How it thought. How it followed instructions. Very quickly, programming became his obsession. He spent countless hours writing code and experimenting with software. Sometimes he stayed awake late into the night just to spend more time using the computer. His teachers even became worried about how much time he spent in the computer room. But Bill was not wasting time. He was preparing for the future. At Lakeside School, Bill met another student who shared his passion for computers. His name was Paul Allen. Paul was older than Bill, but the two quickly became close friends. They spent hours discussing technology and imagining what computers could become one day. At that time, very few people believed computers would ever become common in homes. Most thought they would remain giant machines for businesses and scientists only. But Bill Gates and Paul Allen saw something different. They believed computers would eventually become personal. They imagined a future where every person could own one. And that vision would eventually make them famous. As teenagers, Bill and Paul started using their programming skills to earn money. One of their first projects involved creating software that analyzed traffic data for cities. For two young students in the early 1970s, this was incredibly impressive. Bill was not just a talented programmer. He already thought like a businessman. He understood that software could become extremely valuable in the future. Then came the moment that changed everything. In 1975, Bill and Paul saw an article in a magazine about a new machine called the Altair 8800. Unlike giant computers of the past, this machine was small enough for ordinary people to own. The moment Bill saw it, he realized something important. If millions of people eventually owned personal computers, they would all need software. And almost nobody was creating software at the time. Bill immediately contacted the company behind the Altair 8800 and promised them a programming language for the machine. There was only one problem. The software did not exist yet. It was a huge risk. But Bill believed in himself. Together, Bill and Paul worked day and night writing code. After intense effort, they successfully created the software. The company loved it. And that success became the beginning of Microsoft. At first, Microsoft was just a tiny company with a few ambitious young programmers. Nobody could have imagined that it would eventually become one of the most powerful companies in history. Around this time, Bill Gates was attending Harvard University. Getting accepted into Harvard was already an incredible achievement. Most people would never dream of leaving such a prestigious university. But Bill Gates was not focused on becoming a normal student. Even while attending Harvard, he spent most of his time thinking about computers and software. He could see the future clearly. Computers were coming. And they were going to change everything. Bill faced a difficult choice. Stay at Harvard and live a safe life. Or leave college behind and risk everything on Microsoft. It was an extremely dangerous decision. If Microsoft failed, he could lose everything. But Bill understood something important about success. Sometimes opportunities only appear once. And if you wait too long, they disappear forever. So Bill Gates made the bold decision to leave Harvard and focus completely on Microsoft. Many people thought he was making a terrible mistake. But Bill believed the computer revolution had already begun. And he wanted Microsoft to lead it. During the late 1970s and early 1980s, Bill Gates worked non-stop. He demanded perfection from himself and from everyone around him. Employees often described him as intense, competitive, and obsessed with details. Sometimes he worked all night without sleeping. But his hard work was beginning to pay off. Then Microsoft received the opportunity that changed the company forever. IBM, one of the largest technology companies in the world, was preparing to launch a personal computer. They needed an operating system. This was Microsoft's big chance. Bill Gates made one of the smartest business decisions in history. Instead of selling the software permanently to IBM, Microsoft kept the rights to license it to other companies as well. That operating system became known as MS-DOS. Soon, Microsoft software was being used everywhere. As personal computers became more popular, Microsoft grew rapidly. Then came another revolutionary product. Windows. Before Windows, computers were complicated and difficult for ordinary people to use. But Windows introduced a simpler graphical interface that changed personal computing forever. Suddenly, computers became much more accessible to everyday families, schools, and businesses. Millions of people around the world began using Microsoft products. And Bill Gates became incredibly wealthy. By the 1990s, Microsoft dominated the computer industry. Windows could be found in homes, offices, schools, and businesses almost everywhere. Bill Gates became the richest person on earth. His fortune became almost impossible to imagine. But success also brought criticism. Some people believed Microsoft had become too powerful. The company faced lawsuits and investigations over its business practices. Critics described Bill Gates as ruthless and overly competitive. But supporters saw him as a genius who helped bring computers into ordinary life. Regardless of opinion, nobody could deny his influence. Modern computing had changed forever because of Microsoft. And Bill Gates stood at the center of that revolution. Then, later in life, Bill Gates surprised the world again. Instead of focusing only on becoming richer, he slowly turned his attention toward philanthropy. Together with his former wife Melinda, he created the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The foundation focused on solving major global problems like disease, poverty, hunger, and lack of education. Bill Gates donated billions of dollars to help improve lives around the world. He supported vaccine programs, health research, schools, and humanitarian projects in many countries. For many people, this transformation was surprising. The fierce businessman who once competed aggressively in the technology world was now trying to solve some of humanity's biggest challenges. Over time, Bill Gates became known not only as a billionaire entrepreneur, but also as one of the world's most influential philanthropists. The success story of Bill Gates teaches several powerful lessons. First, curiosity matters. Bill's fascination with computers began at a young age, and that curiosity eventually changed his entire life. Second, timing is important. Bill entered the software industry before most people even understood how valuable computers would become. Third, Taking risks is necessary for greatness. Leaving Harvard was dangerous, but it allowed Bill Gates to focus completely on building Microsoft. And finally, success is about more than money. Later in life, Gates used his fortune to help millions of people around the world. Today, Bill Gates remains one of the most recognized figures on Earth. From a quiet young boy reading encyclopedias, to a teenage programmer obsessed with computers, to the founder of Microsoft and one of the richest men in history. His journey is one of the most remarkable success stories ever told. And perhaps the most inspiring part of all is this: everything started with curiosity. A young boy who loved learning. A teenager who believed computers could change the world. And the determination to continue chasing that vision even when nobody else fully understood it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.